Fred, your name suggests you are in it for the greater good. So maybe let's begin there. What good do you do?
Thank you for having me here. It's a privilege to be here in South Africa. So, I work for the United Nations, for ITU, the digital agency for digital technologies for the UN. And we created AI for Good in 2017, which, if you think about it, is an eternity in terms of AI years. And it was built on the premise that AI has great potential to solve many global challenges, from affordable healthcare to education for all, for clean energy, disaster management, food security, and also the physical manifestation of AI, which we see in the form of embodied AI, robotics, brain-computer interfaces, and autonomous driving. And we're very cognizant that not everyone can go to Geneva for our
Yeah,
global summit that happens each year.
yeah.
So we basically wanted to bring AI for Good down to Johannesburg and basically learn how to build local solutions for local problems.
Absolutely. Well, Fred, I can tell you that you can take me to Geneva. I'll tell them the story. Another
You're welcome
conversation.
anytime.
Another day. So let's talk a little bit about the broad targets here, the age groups that you are targeting, and the numbers that you're hoping to reach.
Yes, so if you look at ITU's work in AI, it goes over four buckets. One is the multi-stakeholder dialogue, which is exactly what we're doing here in Johannesburg. But we also focus on AI skills, and we have targeted different age groups. So we have the Robotics for Good competition, where we have hundreds of students from African schools competing right here, right now, and learning how to use robotics to solve for food security and agriculture. And that's the best way, I think, of basically teaching the next generation of kids how to use AI and robotics responsibly and learning by doing. And we had a very special announcement today. So
Mm.
you might be familiar with will.i.am. Yes,
Yeah.
will.i.am from the Black Eyed Peas.
Yes.
So will.i.am with Google, google.org, and ITU, and also Giga, which is an ITU UNICEF project, they've pledged $1 million to basically help train the kids who are already participating in our global robotics youth competition and basically attach a more formal structured training
Yeah.
around that competition.
Absolutely, absolutely. Of course, I know who will I am. In fact, I know one song. Where is the love? Right?
Exactly. It's here in Johannesburg.
Yeah, 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 indeed. So let's talk a little bit about numbers. I really wanted to know what's your goal is. How many people are you targeting over how many years?
So basically, this competition right now is taking place in 70 countries.
Sure.
And right now, it's taking place in 35 African countries. But more
Uh-huh.
specifically, this Google ITU project is targeting five countries. So, number one is South Africa, and we're having the kickoff here today. But we also have Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, and Cote d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast. So, the idea is that the kids who are already there will attach training on how to use AI and robotics responsibly
Yeah,
while they're competing, right? But our ambition with Google is to go to 10, 20, 30, 50, and eventually all the countries of
yeah,
the world. And I should also add that we're not only focusing on kids. So we have machine learning challenges where you have basically university age students, most of them from the African continent, who have taken place in 100 plus machine learning challenges. And we launched a new challenge today, which is how can we use AI
yeah.
to preserve thousands of African languages and dialects, and also use those dialects and languages to improve large language models.
Absolutely. And of course, you say you are in, I think you said Google is in five countries, and then you have got a larger group that you are targeting. I wanted to remind you there are 54 territories, so I'm hoping that at the end of it, you'll be able to reach all of those. Let's talk a little bit about how you're going to reach those communities. I imagine it's through schools, it's through perhaps the companies that you have mentioned, but how else are you reaching those numbers?
Yeah, so the easy win is already attaching it to the competitions taking place. And yes, you're right. We want to go from 35 to 54 or 50 plus African countries and territories. And the way we've approached it so far is a very bottom up approach by working with the schools and the students, but also through the Giga project, which is ITU and UNICEF. They're going to take a top down approach where we're going to work with the government authorities, with the ICT ministries, and the education ministries so that we can also equip them with the skills and knowledge to be able to develop AI and robotics curriculum to put them in the schools. So in a way, we're doing a bottom-up approach and a top-down approach, and hopefully we can meet in the middle with some success.
Yeah. Let's talk about the program itself, the skills that you are imparting. You say here it's hands-on AI and robotics training. But for many of us, myself included, when you say AI, hands-on skills, I have no idea what that is. Give me a sense.
I mean, I'd like to use an analogy where if you look at what happened in East Africa a couple decades ago, where you basically had this mobile payment miracle, right? And basically they leapfrogged decades of infrastructure and using feature phones and basically a necessity, a need, they became leaders in mobile payments. I like to think that the same thing could be done in the rest of Africa with the right tools in the hand, with the devices, with the cloud, the data, the compute. And interestingly enough, I was speaking to a gentleman who was writing a book on AI in the townships, and I asked him the question, how many people have a mobile phone in the townships? And he said, well, about 80%. And then I said, do they have access to data? Yes, it's expensive, but they have access. Do these phones have ChatGPT or different LLMs on them? Yes. And then we started to talk about, well, this is great, right? Because in theory, you could create a business, you could create collaboration, you could solve local problems, you could, basically add value to the economy. But even if you put the tool in the people's hands, people don't have the basic AI literacy to use those tools in a way that would probably end up being constructive, that would create employment, that would create jobs, solve problems. So I think basically creating that basic literacy is very important. And it's not only a problem here in Africa, it's a problem all over the world. In fact, when we hosted our AI governance dialogue, where we had ministers from all over the world, more than half from the global south, one thing we all had in common was how to address the AI skills gap. And that's why we launched the AI Skills Coalition, which now has 60 partners, over 100 learning courses online in 13 languages. But that's just a drop in the bucket. And we're really aiming to scale this exponentially.
Yeah, yeah. Fred, imagine a government official from a country where you are not yet in is hearing you now. And I wanted to speak to him and perhaps ask you what they need to do in order to be part of these programs that you're talking about.
Yes, well, the good thing is ITU is the only United Nations specialized agency that has a public-private membership model. So, of course, we have 194 member states, but we have 1,000 tech companies as partners and 150 institutions. So that makes ITU very well placed to partner with other UN agencies. We have 50 plus UN agencies as partners of AI for Good, but also work with the ministries, especially in the global south, to bring up their ICT infrastructure and their digital technology. And one of the ways we do that is through standards. So basically, if you participate in the standards making process, and ITU has a lot of programs to bridge the standardization gap and make sure that developing countries not only participate in the standardization making process, but also get the skills and knowledge to deploy and adopt the standards in their local industries. And if you're looking at, let's say, AI governance, you have a lot of ambitious texts, which basically, I think the problems are well known. We want ethical AI, we want safe AI, inclusive AI, we want security, we want inclusivity, sustainability. But how do you turn these ambitious words and principles into action? Because the devil is in the details, and standards have details. So I think one of the ways is by participating in ITU and the standardization making progress, but also in the broader skills coalition, where we're aiming to equip our member states with a wide catalog of learning materials, which could go from grad school to grade school, targeting diplomats, ministers, and everyone in between.
Absolutely. Talk to the individual as well who is hearing you and is thinking, can I get in even though I'm not perhaps part of a government or part of an established institution? Is there a mechanism to reach such people?
Yes, I mean, the whole DNA of AI for Good is that it's the most open and inclusive United Nations platform on AI, and it's free for all to join. And, we do realize that not everyone can go to Geneva. That's why we came here. But on top of that, we do online events almost every day on a platform called the Neural Network, which currently has 50,000 people from 180 countries. And I just checked today, we had over 5,000 people from the African continent, and I believe South Africa was number 3. But this is a great resource for people to be able to connect to. And I've talked to many university students here and beyond who actually have group viewings of our webinars dating back from 2017. We have over 1,000 of them, many of them with AI luminaries like Jeffrey Hinton or Stuart Russell or Jan LeCun, and they're using it as a learning resource in their classrooms. So I would really encourage people to get involved. And maybe on top of that, we also target startups. And today we have the grand finale of the Innovation Factory, Academy, which is basically a dragon's den, a shark tank, if you will, of AI startups who are going to be competing with each other, and they have ready to deploy AI solutions. And we're really looking forward to who the winner is going to be. We're going to find out in about an hour. But I should say that the winner last year was a winner from South Africa who was in Geneva and presented her solution.
Wow, wow. You're doing exciting things, Fred, no question about it. But I need you to repeat that address again so that those who are listening and want to actually join, I can do so. Please give me that address again and where to find it.
Yes, so you would go to aiforgood.itu.int. So that's int.
Say that again.
Yes.
Say that again.
aiforgood.itu.int.
Fantastic.
And if you Google it, it'll go to the top, I'm sure.
I haven't done a better story. Come on, guys, let's Google it. Let's find it. Let's get on board and let's get onto the internet and learn about artificial intelligence. Thank you, Fred, for joining us this afternoon. Fred Werner is co-founder AI for Good.